Progressive brings you Flowetry with Flow.
A tool called Name Your Price. Get a grip on your spending like an industrial vice. It's nice. Beats rolling the dice. I prefer brown rice. Don't carry dumbbells when you walk on thin ice. Splash.
Get insurance based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. Visit Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. This is the Coast to Coast Radio Show. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. And today, we're going to talk about the NFL, Major League Baseball, and NCAA football, and all the political situations and what's going on in the country dealing with protests and athletes. But I do have to talk about the three really good games that I watched today were really, really good. First is the New England-Houston game. And New England started out 7-0, Gronkowski, Brady. Houston came back, took a 10-7 lead. Deshaun Watson, 29-yard pass, playing well as a rookie. Then 7-yard pass from Tom Brady, 14-10 New England. And then Houston stayed in there. They were up 20-14. Javon Conley, 22-yard fumble return. But then you know what Brady does, 42-yard pass from Tom Brady, 21-20 at the half. But the Texans will fight. And I thought this would be a fight for them. Then Brandon Cooks gets a 42-yard pass from Tom Brady. They're up 28-20. Ryan Griffin gets a 12-yard press from Deshaun Watson. And they're right in it. And then the Texans kicked 2 field goals, and they needed to score a touchdown because you gave Brady time on the clock. 2:24, come on, you know what's going to happen. They're going to come down. Brandon Cooks gets a 25-yard pass from Brady, and that's scary because Cooks is inserted in. Amendola's out for the year. You have Cooks and Hogan. Edelman is out for the year. You have Cooks and Hogan. And Amendola makes some plays here and there, but Cooks, Hogan, really, it's Cooks and Gronkowski are the key. And Brady does what Brady does. And now, but the Texans, they played well. I got that Deshaun Watson played as good as you can against Belichick defense. Deshaun Watson had 301 yards passing, 22 of 33, 90, the QBR 49.7. He was solid. Of course, Brady was good, 378 yards, 5 touchdown passes. But the Patriots defense is a little vulnerable this year, which brings them a little back further to the pack. And that's why a lot of teams are saying this next team I'm going to talk about is really the best team in the league. That's the Atlanta Falcons. The winner to a tough Detroit. In Detroit, playing really tough against a really good Detroit team. And this was a really good game. They started out up 17-6 after Devontae Freeman scored. He had 100 yards rushing. But then Detroit came back, and I thought Detroit would make it a really good game. They really tied the game on Matt Prater's field goal going into the fourth quarter, 23-23. But then 4 plays, 75 yards, Matt Ryan, Taylor Gabriel, 40-yard pass, and then the Lions kicked the field goal, and Atlanta held on to win 30-26. And what makes Atlanta great is balance. Solid defense. Matt Stafford, 294. Freeman, 106. Julio Jones, 91 yards reception. Taylor Gabriel, 79 yards. Everybody, they have multiple weapons. They're fast. Other than the hiccup against the Bears, they did win the game, but it was a close game. They've been really good. That was a good win in an environment playing in Detroit. That was a solid win. My next team is the Chiefs, who went to L.A. and did what they had to do, playing the Chargers. They were up 14-0 after Tariq Hill, 30-yard pass, Albert Wilson, 6-yard pass from Alex Smith. But then the Chargers come back to cut it to 7, and then Kareem Hunt, 69-yard run for a touchdown. That is scary because they got perfect balance. Hill is a speedster who has 77 yards receiving and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt, 172 yards rushing. Andy Reid's got exactly what he wants, a solid defense and really, really good playmakers. You got Kelsey in the mix. I mean, what else do you want? Kelsey only had one reception in this game, but it just they're making plays, they're making interceptions, they were intercepting Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers had 3 interceptions. He's a man without a country. It's just a mess. Gordon is pretty good at running, but the Falcons, the Chargers always lose close games. But the Chiefs and the New England Patriots are the class of the NFL as far as the AFC. And then the AFC is just Atlanta right now. I think Atlanta is the best team. And New England and the Chiefs are the class of the NFL. Just very, very impressive teams. I can't put the Raiders up there because they got beat up a little bit tonight by the Redskins. And then this is my next team. Teams that did not come to play. One is tonight was the Raiders. They did not come to play at all. Carr threw a bunch of interceptions, and the Redskins were on fire. Cousins was on fire, 365 yards, 3 touchdowns. P. Ryan ran the ball well. They ran. Chris Thompson had 150 yards receiving. Priors playing well. Vernon Davis was terrific tonight. They were clicking on all cylinders. They were physical. They pushed the Raiders in the face. They shut down Marshawn Lynch. There was no dancing in this game. They were. I was impressed. I was really, really impressed with the Washington Redskins. Cousins is up and down. It's like Dave Craig. He can be really good. He can be really bad. But the rest of the team, they drafted well. They got Pryor as a playmaker. They lost playmakers. They got Pryor as a playmaker, receiver. Thompson's good. And there's a resurgence in Vernon Davis. I was just impressed all throughout the game. And then my next game, before I get to my other teams that didn't come to play, I do want to mention the Giants-Eagles was a great game. 27-24, the Eagles won. The Giants are still in it at 0-3, but it's going to be a chore. They played them a lot. They played hard. I respect that. They came to play, but they just came up a little short. The Eagles figured out a way to win. They're 2-1 and in a good position along with the Redskins who are 2-1. Now the Cowboys have to win against. They better show up in Arizona because they didn't show up last week in Denver. You want them to be 1-2, and then the Eagles and Redskins are ahead. That's going to be very, very interesting tomorrow for both teams. Now, teams that didn't come to play. The Ravens didn't come to play. They got annihilated in London by the Jaguars. Jaguars won 44-7. That's ridiculous. Greg Bortles had 4 TD passes. The Ravens were struggling until they ran into. The Jaguars were struggling, and they destroyed the Ravens. The Broncos did not come to play against the Bills. They lost 26-16. And the Miami Dolphins really didn't come to play. They got annihilated by the Jets. It was 20-0. They ended up losing 20-6. They scored 6 at the end. It didn't matter. The Panthers didn't come to play at home against the Saints. They got destroyed. When is the fan base going to get frustrated? It looked like a mess out there. And Drew Brees lit them up, 3 TDs, 220 yards. Seahawks didn't come to play either. Something's wrong with the Seahawks. They lost 33-27 to the Titans. The management didn't get Wilson enough playmakers. They never replaced Lynch. So that system, the way their spread offense and read option doesn't work, is good without a really good power back. You got Russell Wilson on the island. Other than Graham, he doesn't have playmakers. That was not good. Now, I saved the worst for last, and that's my Pittsburgh Steelers, who really did not come to play. And this is where this really annoyed me. I just thought they let the distractions get to them. They weren't ready to. They didn't come to play. They were in the locker room. Villanueva was the only one to come out. They wanted to make their protest, but this is the problem. You broke routine. If you want to make a protest, come on the field. Keep your routine. If you're upset at what the president said, okay, you lock arms like the other teams did. You stay on the field. You don't break routine. The Redskins even said, and the Raiders said, listen, we were going to stay in the locker room. We didn't want to break routine. You broke routine. You weren't ready to play. Eli Rogers starts the game with a fumble. The Bears scored that gave them the confidence to go up. And they were up 17-7. They should have been up 28-7. The Steelers were lucky. It was a blocked field goal attempt, and one of the players who got the ran it back was stripped by McDonald on the Steelers, and the kicker Boswell knocked the ball out of bounds, so that's illegal tipping. So the Bears did have a chance to get a field goal, 17-7. Steelers come back to tie, but they were just off. Bell's not getting any holes. He's not exploding through the holes, so they kind of schlepped their way back to tying the score. And I just felt all along, somehow, some way, the Bears were going to win because they wanted it more. Their defense got all the stops on third down, and the Steelers at times couldn't get off the field on third down. And then the final play was a touchdown run to cap it off. Josh Howard, 19-yard touchdown run. He had, let me see how many rushes yards he had. He had 138 yards rushing, and Tariq Cohen had 78 yards, or 220 yards total rushing, just ramming it down the Steelers' throat. And in passing, Glennon had 101 yards, but they made plays that he had to make. They made key third down conversions, but they ran the ball. The third and four, they ran the ball. That's uncommon in the NFL, and got 10. After about 4 broken tackles, Howard got 10. It was a bad effort all, and Bell had 61 yards rushing. Roethlisberger was okay. He had 235 and a touchdown. Brown was solid plays. The line, they have missing players on offensive line, but they didn't come ready to play. That's on Tomlin. That's on the owner. You can't let. What was more important? Making a stand against Donald Trump or winning the football game? It was making a stand and complaining about Donald Trump. That was more important than winning the football game. And the fan base is upset. And I'm going to delve more into this now. The Steelers have a Midwestern fan base that believes in patriotism. It's not like New York or D.C. or L.A. If you do that, you might get an attaboy, we're with you. You got to understand, listen, the fan base, even if we have a problem with what the president said or what things he stands for, we got to go out here and honor this anthem because the fan base is going to turn on us. And I just read comments. The fan base is furious, and you compound it by not being ready to play. They're already a little mad at Tomlin because every year he always underachieves in certain games where they're not ready to play against lesser teams. And he's perfected. I call it Tomlin special. And they were hard. They were lousy. Should have really got blown. I should have went to overtime. The Bears were really just stabbing themselves and shooting themselves in the foot. And any other team that had a pulse probably would have pulled out, stole the game, but they didn't. And when you're playing in the wild card and you're going to New England getting beat by 50 points, you're going to look back at these games of why, man, if we could have got home field. Well, you lost to the Bears. You didn't come to play. You're worried more about Donald Trump than winning. And, you got beat. Now when you have to go to New England or Kansas City or, wherever you have to play the following week, and then you get beat up, you'll get beat up in Kansas City. You'll get annihilated in New England. And you'll be wondering, well, you should have won this game. And you better be lucky the division stinks. The Ravens they have average talent. But they're well coached, but they didn't come to play. And if they don't come to play, they're going to get beat because they don't have the talent the Steelers have. The Bengals are a mess. They lost today a game they should have won against Green Bay. They're winless. And the Browns are still, they have to have a culture change. They're almost there where they could be an 8-18, but they're still finding ways to lose. They shouldn't be Pittsburgh game 1. If it wasn't for a block punt, it'd still be 1-2. But anyway, that's the landscape of the NFL. And I also want to include the NFL has a bad situation because on one hand, you have people who are Trump supporters who will boycott the NFL because They're mad because players are taking a knee and they're locking, and owners are against the flag, and they're against Trump. And a lot of them are in the Midwest or in the South who are rabid Trump supporters, who are rabid patriot-type people. Then you have the other side who are mad that Kaepernick's not in the league, so they want to protest the league and protest games. So you have two different factions on opposite ends who want to protest the league, and Goodell doesn't know what he's doing. So you can see that when you're at the top and you don't know what you're doing, now you compound the problem. And you have Kaepernick fans who are mad, who are saying Kaepernick should be in the league, he's being blackballed, this is why there's injustice in America. So I'm not watching another NFL game. And then you have other factions of people that are more conservative, like, listen, you want to stay in the locker room? You want to lock hands? You want to discredit the veterans? I'm not watching the game. You got a mess. So now you're going to have empty seats of fans who would never get along, who are really in unison. You have non-Trump supporters who hate Trump and Trump supporters who are on one accord not wanting to watch the league. And that's a problem. And nobody wants to talk about nothing. And this is what Vernon Davis said that I like. You know what? I think this president should reach out and we talk and let us air our grievances. And he could talk about what he feels about the league. And I think that would foster change. Because this is my thing. You want to protest, make it a salient point. These are my reasons I'm protesting. This reason and that reason, that reason. This is what I believe can be solutions. If you just want to lock horns and say there's an injustice, this is ridiculous, this country is a mess, and don't provide solutions, you're just going to anger your fan base, you're going to anger certain factions, and it's just going to be strife, and there's going to be no solutions. You're just going to be twisting in the wind. But if your players and say, listen, injustices, we're mad because there are certain instances of police brutality, there's certain instances here, but this is how we can form a solution. We want to talk with the fans. We want to create dialogue with the president. We want to create dialogue with the owners. We want to talk to the fans who are mad at us. We want to say, this is where we are. Let's come to a common ground. There's none of that. There's just anger. There's just comments. There's just name-calling. And it started with Kaepernick taking a knee. And I haven't heard anyone say, listen, there's solutions. Let's talk about this. Let's explain where we are and how we can get to where we're in a better place where there's unity. Because there's been disunity for the last 2 or 3 years where there's been a problem going past before the Trump administration. And you're mixing politics and sports. I hate talking about it, but I have to because it's a glaring problem. And fans who want to get away from politics and want to watch sports are beyond annoyed. And I don't know if the players, other than Vernon Davis, I don't know if the players and owners understand, okay, let's take a step back. Because some of them are explaining, okay, we don't have nothing against the veterans, but we're complaining and we're protesting certain issues that are in the United States. Okay, but there has to be some type of unity. There has to be dialogue where there has to be some resolution. Because if you keep doing this every week and they're going to show it, and fan bases are going to take sides, and then they're going to say, I'm not watching it no more. You have Steelers fans not wanting to watch the Steelers anymore because they stayed in the locker room, which they shouldn't have, for the simple fact that you lock horns. You don't sit in the locker room in 90-degree weather, come out, not be prepared, at the last minute try to get ready and play a game. You got to focus on the Bears more than Trump, and they paid for it, and it's going to cost you. I don't know the how much it's going to cost them. They're still in first place, but now if you ever fought for home field and you're sitting there looking at that Bear loss, maybe we should have showed up. But there has to be solutions. This is my solution for Colin Kaepernick. Go to the CFL because they're saying, get him in the league. Get him in the league. Get him in the league. And I get text messages. I'm protesting NFL until they put him in. Say, for instance, you put Colin Kaepernick on a team. He hasn't had a training camp. He hasn't had an OTA. He hasn't thrown the ball. He had really lousy stats, and he was on his way down before all this happened. And he's a one-read player. Can he develop? Yeah, he could develop. But why don't you go to the CFL? Why don't you go to the World Football League while no one wants you on the team? Go play. That's the only way you get better. Go to the CFL. Go where you can play in the league. Put up monster numbers. NFL, there's going to be a player that gets hurt, and you're like, you know what? And the owners will be like, you know what? Man, Kaepernick is lighting it up. I think it's worth the trouble putting him on a roster. I want to put him on my roster. But you could put Kaepernick on a roster, but he's not ready to play. You put him on a roster, that fan base, some of the fan base will be mad. And the only way to get that fan base not furious is that he comes in and plays lights out. That's going to be hard for him to do because of the fact that he has no OTAs, he had no preseason games, he had no reps, no nothing, no camaraderie with any receivers. What system you're going to put him in, you just can't pluck him in and write what people say is wrong. He's not going to play in the league this year. So that's going to be there. What he needs to do is not sulk, not call names, not call former players sellouts and get nasty and have your girlfriend nasty stuff. But like, okay, I'm going to work in different communities because he did give his money to charity. I believe it's $1 million. That was good. I'm going to go in the inner cities. I'm going to work on my craft. I'm going to inner cities, help kids, help get rid of the black on black crime. I know he can't do that by himself, but be there. Be there and talk to the inner city kids. You can get your education. You can get jobs. Get off the street. You don't have to be a statistic. You can do things like that and then work on your craft. I know that's not the cool thing to say, but it's the logical and wise thing to say. And that's all I have to say about that. Now I want to get into Major League Baseball. The Cubs took 2 out of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers. It was a tough series. They figured out a way to win. That was big. They won 5-0. Quintana went 9 innings. He only gave up 3 hits. He was big time. And they're money players. Like I've been saying, I think Washington could beat them because they might have more talent, but the Cubs have more heart. Quintana had 10 strikeouts, I believe. That's big time. That's how you pitch. 10 strikeouts, 3 hits. And if I'm the Cubs, he's my starter in Game 1 against the Nationals. They should win the division. I still have the Nationals because it's going to be hard to get Bryce Harper, Daniel Murphy, and Zimmerman out. Their lineup is set. Their pitchers are great. Their middle relief is tight. Their closer's good. They have better pitching. I'm going with the Nationals. I got to see if Colorado makes it or St. Louis or Milwaukee. That's going to be fun the last week against Arizona. Arizona should win that to play the Dodgers, and the Dodgers should be a little nervous playing Arizona. But I still have the Dodgers in the World Series against the Cleveland Indians. If the Yankees get past the Twins, the Yankees could beat the Yankees. But I'm going to still be safe and pick the Indians to beat Boston in the playoffs. I'll get more into that as we near the playoffs. Now, college football, let me tell you something. I was impressed with Penn State pulling out that game against Iowa and how McSorley threw that terrific touchdown pass where they were driving just getting field goals. And that was terrific touchdown pass to Juwan Johnson. It was a seam route by the goal line. Won the game 21-19. Shaquan Barkley, the best running back in the country, 211 yards. He was just amazing. 211 rushing yards, 94 receiving yards. He was just a beast. And Penn State won that. USC squeaked the game out against California, winning by 10. Mississippi State got destroyed by Georgia. Georgia's a problem. Georgia is a problem. And I knew Mississippi State were not going to come to play because that was too much of an emotional win over LSU. Alabama winning 59-0 over a good Vanderbilt team. Clemson was solid, even though I struggled a little bit. They were solid. Oklahoma was really good. They beat Baylor. It was a tight game, and then Baker Mayfield took over. This is my issue with Baker Mayfield. I need him to cool it a little bit with nasty comments about fans and throat slashing and stupid gestures on the sideline and the constant trash talk. That has to stop, because we see what happened with Johnny Manziel in the NFL. That doesn't translate in the NFL. He is such a good quarterback, though. He's much better than Johnny Manziel. He could read. I mean, I don't mind the feistiness. And Oklahoma's a player. They could play for a national championship if they could get stops. But that annoys me, and that's always kind of been my issue with Baker Mayfield. I wish there was a way he could pipe down. And if I ever saw him in person, interviewed him, I'm like, do you think you need to pipe down a little bit going into the NFL with some of the trash talking and the ridiculous antics? Because he had to apologize already with the move he did against Ohio State. And to me, the coach got to do him a solid. Lincoln Riley got to do him a solid, sit him down, but like, okay, I don't mind your passion, but you're going to have to cool it. Get off social media, talk about I'm your daddy to other teams' fans, because you beat a winless Baylor team. Okay. And that's just, you can't, like, if you're going to play Alabama, you can't do like, Nick Saban's my daddy. I'm Nick Saban's daddy. You can't do that, because Vanderbilt, you see what happened to Vanderbilt. They talked a lot of junk, and Alabama wore them out. They were like, we were ready for Alabama. No, you weren't. 59-0. I want to give much love to Andre Ward, who retired. He was the great super middleweight champion of all time. Joe Calzaghe was good, but he got out of there before Ward. He got a chance to get beat up by Andre Ward. Andre Ward cleaned out the super middleweight division, moved up, beat bigger fighters, beat a bigger Kolev twice. There's nothing else to prove. A lot of his friends are in the light heavyweight division. He probably didn't want to fight him. Marcus Brown and Bio Jack and a lot of guys who were his friends. So he did what he had to do, so he should be proud of that awesome career, and he was a great person.